Ma tohu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, ma tohu, ma tohu. Ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, natohu. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. This morning we are in Shabbat Vayechi, the final Torah portion of the book of Genesis. And chanting today for us will be David Sherman. And those in person, just please make sure your cell phones are off and remain masked. And for all of you online, we're so glad you're here. And there'll be opportunities for you to unmute online and speak, and I'm told we will hear you. So we'll begin this morning with Moda'ani on page 84. We give gratitude for the miracle of awakening to a new day. Moda'ani lefanecha melechai v'kayam. Moda'ani lefanecha melechai v'kayam. Moda'ani lefanecha, moda'ani lefanecha. Grateful are we, source that of all that lives and exists, for restoring our souls with compassion. Great is your faithfulness. We turn to page 87, top of the page, awakening to the gifts of our bodies. We'll say the first line in Hebrew and the last line in Hebrew, and in between I want to share a beautiful translation by Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi of blessed memory. Baruch atah Yah, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokhmah. Praised are you, our God, who transcends time and space, for you formed human beings with wisdom, creating in us all sorts of ducts and tubes. Modim anachnu lach. We are grateful to you for enabling us to recognize the holiness of the divine image, to continuously create and recreate ourselves, and to establish ourselves in your presence. How diverse are your works, God. You have made them all with wisdom. Praised are you, maker, healer of flesh, maker of wonders. Baruch atah Yah, Rofei kol basar umafli la'asot. And we awaken to the gifts of our souls. Page 89. There's a teaching I'm going to mention in my Devar Torah this morning that talks about a nikuda, a soul spark light inside of each of us. And so as we sing Elohai Nishama, I invite you to just feel gratitude for your holy spark. It is a blessing. Elohai Nishama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Nishama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Nishama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata pi tehorahi. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir nishamot livkari metim. We awaken to the gifts of all the blessings in our lives. Just invite you to just inside your heart, feel gratitude. Say thank you for something wonderful in your life. And please join me in the Hebrew prayers beginning on page 90. Blessings begin small that make our lives possible. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan nos bina lehavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam moter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten la'ayef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'einai unuma me'afapai. We turn to page 108. And from that place of gratitude, we also can access the place of longing, place of just feeling into what we need, what we yearn for, what help we need to call in for ourselves, for family members, for our world. Elecha. To you, the Eternal One, I call, and to God I cry out, hear me, Eternal One, and be gracious. Be a help for me. Elecha, Adonai ekra, ve'el Adonai etchanan. Elecha, Adonai ekra, ve'el Adonai etchanan. Shema Adonai v'choneni Adonai ozeli Shema Adonai v'choneni Adonai ozeli. We enter into gratitude, into more gratitude, more gratitude. We are the people of gratitude. On page 117, we call in the blessing that the world was spoken into being in our creation story. Our creation book that we are finishing today. We really make a nod to creation on Shabbat every week. We say thank you for the created world and the magnificence, the mystery, the blessing. And we just want to say more thanks. So please join me in the English. Blessed is the one who spoke and brought worlds into being. Blessed are you who thus brings on creation. Blessed is the one whose word is carried out. Blessed are you whose decree is fulfilled. Blessed is the one who has compassion for the earth. Blessed are you who shows compassion for all creatures. Blessed is the one who rewards reverence for the eternal. Blessed are you who removes darkness and brings light. Blessed is the one who lives forever and endures eternally. Blessed is the one who redeems and rescues. Blessed are you. Blessed be your name. Baruch hu uvaruch shemo. We turn to Psalm 150 on page 139 and 38. Thank you. And this blessing blesses for all the sounds, all the air that moves through, for the wind, for the breath, for the souls. For when we make our instruments sing, the air that moves through those instruments, we think of the flapping of the wings of the hummingbirds and the dragonflies and the storks and the blue herons, and the swishing sounds of the whales in the ocean. All the sounds that the created beings create are giving thanks and praise. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, El Bikocho. Hallelujah, Birki Hahuzo. Hallelujah, Ligvurotav. Hallelujah, Kerov Kulo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Beteka shofar, hallelujah. Benevel vechinor, hallelujah. Betov umacho, hallelujah. Beminim ve'ogav, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. בצלצלי שמה, הללו, בצלצלי תרועה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, hallelujah. Page 140, top of the page. The breath of all life shall bless your name, eternal one, our God. Nishmat kol chai, tevarech et shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu, Nishmat kol chai, tevarech et shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu, ya ya ya. Yay, day, 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 yay, day, 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 yay, day, 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 yay, day, 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 yay, day, day. Shochenad, page 143, second paragraph from the bottom. Shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo. Shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo. Ranenu tzadikim badonai badonai. La Yisharim Nava Tehila Befi Yisharim Titromam Titromam Uvdivrei Tzadikim Titbarach Titbarach Uvilshon Chasidim Titkadash Titkadash Uvkerev Kedoshim Titalal, Titalal, Yishtabach Shimcha, La'ad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VeHaGadosh B'Shamayim u'Ba'aretz. Baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol batishbachot el haodaot hadon haniflaot habocher b'shirei zimra melech elchei haolamim. For the Baruch Hu, we turn to page 149. And before we rise, just want to invite you to say hello to someone in the room and on Zoom, to take a moment to say hello to each other, just to look at each other there on the screen. We rise as we are able. And with the Baruch Hu, it's really a moment of, we can't say the Baruch Hu unless we're in community. And so we acknowledge that we're in community. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer hor uvorei choshech osei shalom uvorei et hakol. As we recognize we're in community, we lift up the light of creation. We lift up the light of creation that is seen in each of you, in each other, and also in our glorious day with the sunrise. And what a beautiful day it is here in Ashland. So, so beautiful. I want to bring in this Blessing for the Light by David White. I thank you, light, again, for helping me to find the outline of my daughter's face. I thank you, light, for the subtle way your merest touch gives shape to such things I could only learn to love through your delicate instruction. And I thank you this morning, waking again, most intimately and secretly, for your visible invisibility, the way you make me look at the face of the world so that everything becomes an eye to everything else, and so that strangely I also see myself being seen, so that I can be born again in that sight, so that I can have this one other way, along with every other way, to know that I am here. Or Chadash is on page 156. Gratitude that new light, more light, every day, light. We're so grateful. Or Chadash Shot Zion Ta'ir V'nizkechu lanu bimhera leoro Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. And we bring in love, imagining a hug of love surrounding us that comes from the light of the universe, the love of the universe, and from our loved ones. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu. We are loved by great love. Page 157. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu. 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 Bottom of the page. Gratitude for the light of Torah that enlightens our eyes and our hearts with wisdom. V'ha'erinenu b'Torah techa v'dabek lebeinu b'mitzvotecha v'yached leva v'nu le'ahava u'lira et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nikalem v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora batachnu Nakila venismecha Nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha. We gather the corners of our talitot for those of us wearing them. And we can imagine pulling in anything that's broken, anything that's separated, rifted, and holding it into one hand, bringing it up to our heart into oneness. Shalom, bring us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us proudly back to our land, for you are the power that enacts deliverance, who has drawn us close to your great name, above all with truth, that we might offer you thanks and establish your unity through love. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. For the Shema on page 160, please respect your custom if it is to rise. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם נאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We continue silently on our own. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We turn to there we go. I know. I found it. Bottom of page 165. Michamocha, lifting up, redemption, expansiveness, freedom. Tehilot Elyon Baruch Hu Mvorach Moshe Uvnei Yisrael Lecha Anu Shira B'Simcha Rabba V'Amru Chulam Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai Mi Kamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot Osei Feleh Shira Chadasha Shibchu Geulim Nishimcha Safat Hayam Yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Sur Yisrael kuma be'esrat Yisrael ufdechenu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzivahot shemo Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. For For the Amidah, it can be found on page 167. We rise as we are able. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. May God open my lips that I might utter praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka ve'Elohei Rachel ve'Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי כל חי אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי כל חי ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות כל חי, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי כל חי. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי ארון, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מככים אנחנו לך, מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון, תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים, בעינינו תיראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך, על ידי דוד משיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נכיר גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נכיר גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נכיר גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נכיר גודלך, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש, האל הקדוש. We continue silently on our own. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yase shalom, yase shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May there be peace, abundant peace for all people who dwell on earth. And let us say, Amen. We turn to page 215 for our Torah service. And I'm wondering if we have a volunteer who would like to hold the Torah and say the blessings, the Shema and Echad, Gadlu in the room. Russ, beautiful, thank you. And a volunteer to open the ark. Great, Melissa. Wonderful. And then at the end, on the other side, Randall will do Hagba. Annie, Miranda, would you do Glila? Will you help wrap the Torah? Thank you. En kemocha va'elohim Adonai v'en kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim eitiv avetzonecha et Zion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Kivecha levad batachnu, Melech el ram benisa, Adon olam. Vayehi b'tzo Aaron, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, ve'yafutzu oivecha, ve'yanusu misanecha, mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'hikdushato. We turn to page 218, call and response. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachtav. And as the Torah comes around, just wave as it comes by. Tiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz lecha Adonai amamnacha v'haminaseh lechol erosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu ki the Kadoshu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated. So a question for you, David. Would you, I could do the Devar Torah first, or would you like to read first? Pardon? Okay. It's hard to unwrap the Torah and read prayers at the same time. We just have Torah is being passed out, Chumashim. But just sit back and listen right now. We don't need to look too much there. We'll let you know the Torah passages when they're chanted. Thank you for passing those out. So the book of Genesis comes to a close today, and we will be reading the final words. David will be chanting those for us. And how it ends is with the death of Jacob and then his son Joseph. We end the story, the great story, the saga of Abraham's line, and we prepare to enter the book of Exodus, a people transformed and setting out on a journey. We go from being a family, the sons and daughters of Yisrael, the man who is also known as Jacob. And now we are people, we're emerging out of the book of Breshit. We emerge as the Israelites, Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. And I was struck when I was reading the Torah this week that it says at the end that Joseph spoke to Bnei Yisrael. And the way it was translated, in the translation I was reading, it said that Bnei Yisrael, which normally we say means like equals Israelites, children of Israel, i.e. the Israelites. But the way it was translated here at this moment, as Joseph is speaking to the sons of Yisrael, that is the sons of Jacob. After this point, as I said, it's going to be different. We're going to translate Bnei Yisrael differently, but here the translators very carefully translated it as the sons of Jacob. Bnei Yisrael, which normally we say is Israelites. Children of Israel, i.e. Someone mute. The way it's translated here. That's okay. We heard reverberations from the cosmos of Bnei Yisrael speaking out. So again, the translators in the Torah are talking about these men, the sons of Yisrael, and these sons of Israel will become who we are, their descendants, a people of that same name. The Torah gives us a narrative moving from the particularist, the family, to the universal, the nation, from the I and the me and the mine to the us and the we and the ours. We become more than ourselves, more than our origins, and we become part of something bigger. But what did it take? The book of Genesis is again and again about the conflict between brothers. Cain and Abel didn't end so well. Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Joseph and his 11 brothers. In each example, we could say that we do it better than the time before. Cain kills Abel. Isaac and Ishmael come together in the end of their father's life to tend and bury him. But that's about all that's said about that. Jacob and Esau are generous with each other when they reunite. They embrace, they bless, they go their separate ways. And here, Joseph and his brothers really forgive each other with clear and direct words of apology and forgiveness. Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sachs says this: Vayechi, this parsha, is moving in itself, but it also resolves one of the central questions of the book of Genesis, sibling rivalry. Cain and Abel, Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Joseph and his brothers. Can brothers live peaceably with one another? For if brothers cannot live together, how can nations? And if nations cannot live together, how can the human world survive? Only now, with the reconciliation of Joseph and his brothers, can the story move on to the birth of Israel as a nation, passing from slavery to freedom. So brothers are the building blocks of nations. And so how do we save the world? We begin at home. We talked in Torah study this morning about Shalom Bayit, peace in the home. We begin at home. We start inside. We do the inner work inside of ourselves, and then we move to our closest others, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our friends, and outward. In Genesis, it says this in this parsha: Joseph's brothers, seeing that their father Jacob had died, they went to Joseph and said, they said to each other, perhaps Joseph still bears us enmity and intends to repay us for all the harm that we inflicted upon him. So they brought a charge to Joseph, saying, your father left this charge before his death, saying, thus shall you say to Joseph, please, I beg of you, forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, though they inflicted harm upon you. And the brothers say, please forgive the transgression of the servants of your father's God. Joseph then wept as they spoke to him. His brothers also prostrated themselves before him and said, here we are, your slaves, your servants. And Joseph said to them, have no fear, for am I in place of God? Though you intended me harm, God intended it for good, in order to accomplish what is now the case, to keep alive a numerous people. Now, therefore, have no fear. I will provide for you and your little ones. Thus did he comfort them and speak straight to their hearts. Joseph's brothers ask for forgiveness. They admit that they were wrong. Joseph sees the bigger picture. All is forgiven, and he comforts them, and he does this beautiful thing of speaking into their hearts. Vaidaber al libam. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov teaches that Joseph is shining his nikudah, a point of divine light from within himself upon his brothers in that moment. And my friend and colleague, Rabbi Dara Lithwick, who wrote with Chaim Ezra Harrison, said, as part of this big, messy family, we as the Jewish people must do our best to emulate Joseph if we have any desire to connect across difference. It can be very hard to assess our own internal God sparks, let alone others. But we must try, for that is how we can ultimately be reconciled and redeemed. Genesis, our foundational first Torah story, gifts us conflict and then resolution. It says life is messy, family is messy, community is messy. Cain and Abel, what not to do. Isaac and Ishmael, nice. They could have done so much more. Jacob and Esau, now we're getting there. Joseph and his brothers, yes, do it this way. Ask for forgiveness and forgive. Shine your God sparks from within yourself into each other's hearts to help theirs emerge as well. Don't let things go left undone. And then let us move forward into the bigger work united to end tyranny, injustice, subjugation, narrow-mindedness, all of that. That's Mitzrayim, that's Egypt, that's the narrow place, and that's the work in front of us. And when we do that, we may then manifest liberation and revelation and coming home to a land flowing with milk and honey. Ken yehi ratzon bimhera b'yamenu. May it be so, and speedily in our days. Shabbat Shalom. Now we're going to get to hear the end of Breshit. So we're going to be reading today from Genesis chapter 50, the last 3 verses, chapter 24, 25, and 26. And for the aliyah for this, I want to just invite up the intention, those of us who really want to come together to have our nikidot, are those divine sparks that are in us, to gift them to others so that it can be for healing in the world, and to break down our differences and to create shalom, wholeness in the world. So feel free to come up. We'll just all remain masked up here if that's something that is moving for you. And those of you online, you may rise if you like to honor that aliyah. We'll be able to find it easily. Yeah.
So I just want to say before we do the prayer that this is in honor of my son Matthew's bar mitzvah portion, way back when in, I think, 1993.
Baruch Adonai Hambrach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch
Atah
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher atarpanu mikol ha'amim, ונתן לנו את תורתו. Baruch atah Adonai, נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Yosef el Echav Anochi Meit Ve'Elohim Pakod Yifkod Ethem Ve'Elah Ethem Min Haaretz Hazot El Haaretz Asher Nishbach LaAvraham LaYitzchak ULYaakov Hayashba Yosef El Bnei Yisrael Lemor Hakol Yivkod Eli Echem V'Ha'alitem Et Atzmotai Mizeh Vayamot Yosef Ben Meah Esther Shani Vayachantu Oto Vayisem Ba'aron B'Mitzrayim Chazak V'nitchazek
Chazak chazak v'nitchazek.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notei haTorah.
Amen. Mishaber ha'chavotenu v'imotenu. May the Holy One of Blessing who blessed our ancestors before us bless you for honoring yourselves, for knowing yourselves, for healing yourselves, so that you can reach out in strength and wholeness to your brothers, to your sisters, to build a society, a nation, a people that is strong enough, loved enough, brave enough, humble enough, and open enough to nurture all the other nations and our earth, and to bring goodness and peace and kindness and forgiveness into all of the earthly realm. V'nomar Amen. Yasher koach. Mazal tov. Before we do Hagba, we're going to do prayer for healing. And so to begin with, I just want to really invite in a prayer for each and every one of us. And this came to me there's a beautiful, beautiful blessing in this week's Parsha as Jacob is blessing his grandsons, Ephraim and Manasseh. And what he says as he puts his hands on their heads and they're sitting right there, he says to them, may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. He says to his grandsons, may you be just like you. And so I bless us all for healing that. And I think a huge part of the healing in our lives is to be ourselves, to rejoice in the beauty and the blessings and the gifts that we bring. And may we all have compassion for ourselves. And also just recognize that we all have little hurts and heavinesses and aches throughout our days. They may not be some huge, big thing that's needing healing, but we all need healing. And so I just really invite you. Yeah, I see a hand on a heart in this room. I'm going to join you in that. Just bring in healing for yourself. And also we're going to bring in healing for all those in our community in need of healing. So in this room, is there anyone you would like to name to say healing prayers for? Hillary and Terry.
Rabbi Marcia Prager, and my mom, Shabbat.
Rabbi Marcia Prager and my mother-in-law, Chayabat Gittel V'Hirsch. And on Zoom, does anyone want to unmute and say names of those you're thinking of?
Ansley Wade,
Heather Louvier,
Edlin Yoshida,
And in our community, Jan Ackerman, Yehudit Azna Batlina Avraham, Hanadine Schultz, Sifra, Bobby Schultz, David Wilcox, Lisa Friedlander, Sipora Epstein, Harav Chaya Sarah Mina Bat Rivka Baila, Harav Miriam Yael Bat Yitzhak Vasara, Della Spector, Sally Telpner, Avital Cohen, Isa Martinez, Tony Heald, Sarah Rivka Bat Zahira Yael, Russ Hannon, Sophia Harris, Janice Litchin, Sanford Goldberg, Lola Sonnenschein, Alan Gale, Louise Reifman, Pam Davis, Howard Booster, Eliana Hirsch, Azrael Ben David Vitalma, Harriet Bat Shmuel Miriam, Carlotta Spears, Rich Karchmer, all COVID victims suffering and working to heal, all of the medical people in our world tending those in need of healing, and those who have survived our country's tornadoes. Anahemna, Anahemna, Anahemna Refana La Anahemna, Anahemna, Anahemna Refana La. Please, God, heal them all soon. Heal us all. And let us say amen. Prayers for putting away the Torah on page 257. We rise. Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. דרכנו וכל נתיבותיך שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. קדיש, קדיש ימינו, קדיש ימינו כקדם. You may be seated. Except I'm going to ask you to stand up again. The Elenu can be found on page 375. With the Elenu, we say it is upon us to bring in holiness, oneness, echad, into the world, to bring in praise and to bring in healing, tikkun olam, to be the ones who activate that healing. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ותוזו שכינתו זו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אינו אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתנו. הכתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. We may be seated. We turn to page 380 for the Mourner's Kaddish, where we remember those of blessed memory who have passed at this time. in years past, and also those who have recently passed. Invite those on Zoom to first unmute and share any names you're remembering today.
Carpel bar Avraham and Miriam.
Vina Rexinger.
And here in the room, in the past year, we are remembering Larry McClaskey, Norm Tresser, Susan Lander, Evie Strauss, David Kletter, Michael Bazin, Marvin Sklan, Ed Elson, Daniel Charles Dietz, Louise Reifman, and Harriet Bellinson. And this and next week, we're remembering the yahrzeits of Doris Salas, Susan Hamrell, Marcel Jacobson, Dorothy Baldoff, Honsi Cook, Lily Hindawi, Leah Vian Whitehall, Elliot Horwich, Russell Mark Chernis, Karen Tuttle Herskowitz, Jedediah Yitzchuk Horner, Eileen Hirsch, Mel Greenfeld, Herman Hopfinger, Herman Empel, Ruth Eisenman, Pauline Schwartz, Maurice Grushke, Bob Day, Sylvia Hellman, Joseph Zucker, Max Brown, Jory Bernhardt Kurd, Eleanor Himmelsterb, Sydney Goldberg, Max Raskoff, Marge Homan, Shirley Perper, and Marion Lerner. We add to the names victims of the tornadoes and victims of COVID, and all else who are in need of Kaddish. Page 380. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'yama divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shemeda kudisha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata, b'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim tovim aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael, Vel kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for blessing. We now invite up David to do announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, and a welcome to all of you who are new to our congregation, visiting or otherwise. I want to thank you, all of you who are on Zoom, for being here, those on YouTube and those in person. I want to thank me for Laney. Thank you, Sarah, for the technical support. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you for Barry for the online Zoom hosting. Of course, Rabbi, thank you. And all those who joined us. Shabbat Shalom. Second page. Next Shabbat, there will be a Zoom service at 10 a.m., no Torah study, and no services on New Year's Day. New Year's Day. Okay. Yes? Yeah.
So again, next Shabbat, there will be a Zoom-only service. led by Barry and Steve from KISS, and we're so grateful to them for that. Great. So just want to take a moment real quick for anybody new to tell us who you are so we can say hello and welcome you. Is anyone visiting here in the room? You can just yay. So for all of you online, that was Miranda Miller, also known as Annie, also known as Rachel's big sister and Randall's big daughter, and my bonus dear one. Yay, welcome. Are you? Hello. I don't recognize you. Maybe it's because you're not. I just saw a face I haven't seen in a long time. I'm sorry. Dana. Oh my gosh. Hi, Dana. You know what? I don't think I've seen you in person. That's hi. Hi. I'm so happy to see you. Good. Thank you. Anyone online who'd like to introduce yourself? Welcome, everyone. So Kiddush, I just bless the sweetness of this day. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'doratam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet amim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledortam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat v'yinafash, shavat v'yinafash, shavat v'yinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Good Shabbos, everyone. Hi, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.